Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. It is Wednesday, the 20th day of September. Doofus After Dark on the American Doofus channel. And Chris will be joining us at 9 o'clock, 9 ish. And hopefully um, you'll stay with us. Hello, not going anywhere. Hello, Pat Tolliver, Manuel Rush from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much for clicking in. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you all for clicking on wherever you may be, whether you're watching live or you're watching at your convenience at a later time. Um, I'm going to go ahead and kick things off here with a couple of things. Um, this came in just about 40 minutes ago.
U.S. Nuclear War Command and Control.
Two nuclear war doomsday planes, command and control planes up over California. And a B 52 bomber took off from Barksdale and flew to Europe. Um, so, some interesting things going on. And as you can probably see here, Azerbaijani troops fired on Russian peacekeepers. Um, Azerbaijani ends the attack on Armenians as Putin weighs in. This was 5 hours ago. Now, Putin and the United States have both been putting pressure on Azerbaijan to ceasefire. A ceasefire was brokered, but since then, the latest is that Azerbaijan ended up killing. I think it was 8. Yes, here we go. Let's jump over to here. Azerbaijani forces just killed 8 Russian soldiers in Karabakh. So that was 7 hours ago. So this is kind of odd, but nonetheless, this is one of the things I wanted to touch on here as we start, and we'll just go ahead and go down the X scroll since we are here, and we may not be having the X Twitter scroll for much longer. Twitter is talking about becoming a pay per view site, and a lot of the places I got information from, a lot of the people have already left. So we'll see how long it lasts. But for the moment, here comes our X Twitter scroll. When they burn books, they will ultimately burn people also. Quote unquote, 2 MAGA Republican Missouri state senators participated. Come on. Participated in a book burning using flamethrowers at an event called the St. Charles County Freedom Fest. Here you see the 2 MAGA Republicans, and indeed relishing in book burning. Times have changed significantly since when I was running for public office. I'll just say that. Okay, Lauren Boebert tried to explain her behavior at the theater. She said, quote, "I was a little too eccentric. I'm on the edge of a lot of things." So she's a cutting edge kind of person. Um, for those that don't know, this is what we're talking about. This is Congresswoman Boebert. Um, this is her date. This is his hand on her boobert, and this is her hand on his na 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 hey 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 goodbye. So her excuse is, "I was a little too eccentric and I'm on the edge of a lot of things." This comes after her excuse was she wasn't really vaping at all in there. That was smoke coming from the stage. A lot of excuses, but not a lot of consequences at the moment. Just something to think about. Um, Boebert's lesson from the embarrassing Hansy night at the Denver Theater: don't date Democrats. Yes, she says, "I learned to check party affiliations before you go on a date. It was mostly a lovely time." Um, yeah. Hey, we don't tell you what to think or how to think. Just give you things to think about. Here's one of those things to think about. This is a congresswoman. Um, hmm, again, things have changed, and not that it was not that long ago that I was involved in politics, and this would have been a death sentence. Um, Look up Senator Al Franken and what he got forced out of the Senate for, and compare it to what you just saw on video there. Um, Speaking of getting forced out, it seems like Russell Brand is being canceled after allegations of sexual assault and rape. Brand is being canceled. His comedy tour was halted. YouTube has stopped all ad revenues on his channel, and the BBC has begun removing all content that feature him. Um, some sex stuff with kids, of course, is part of the alleged wrongdoings. Speaking of alleged and wrongdoings, ex-Trump aide Cassidy Hutchinson accuses Rudy Giuliani of groping her on the January 6th backstage. That's in the production tent at Trump's rally. He says John Eastman witnessed the assault. Migrants walking right through Trump's impenetrable border wall. Yeah. So something that we really should be talking about more, because the number of people coming across the border is getting um I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to think or how to think. I'm just going to say, watching this, it should give you all something to think about. If it's this easy in certain spots, what's going on where there isn't a giant wall? And that pretty much does it for our bookmarks for the night. We got Chris coming up at 9 o'clock. This is the Doofus After Dark on the American Doofus channel, and we're going to have our world situation update. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Africa, what's going on in Haiti, what's going on in other places around the world. And in the meantime, I'm going to just buzz through some things here that I think you ought to be aware of. Uh, a massive immigration or massive immigrant crisis is going on on an Italian island, and she's going on an Italian island. The island normally holds about 6,000 people. There are about 10,000 refugees. Um, and this picture is migrants wait at the port to be transferred to the mainland on the Sicilian island of Lampedusa, Italy, and that's September 15th in 2023. So again, immigration and people trying to seek better lives, and at what cost are they doing it, and at what point um, is enough enough? Just again, giving you some things to think about. Here's another thing to think about: the Nipah virus. There was an outbreak. There has been an outbreak in India of this virus. Has a fatality rate between 40 and 75%, according to the CDC. There is no treatment, and there is no vaccine. However, I think Madeira, I believe I heard Madeira is working on a vaccine. Um, okay. I want to just play a little portion of something here from Gene at the Mavstar Observatory over in England. This is about how the magnetic field is weakening. One of the things potentially could impact humanity. And I just wanted to remind you of an event. So just a reminder that we are we're living in perilous times for. Hold on, apologies, apologies. Hang on. Um, I didn't want to show this actually. Okay, thank you. All right, all right. I was just told you didn't hear any of that. Basically, what was going on, what was coming out, or should have been coming out, was there was a thing called the Carrington event, and the reason is because the guy that discovered, or the guy that saw the ejection from the sun was an amateur astronomer named Carrington, and the plasma, radiated plasma that was ejected from the sun, caused such a disturbance in our atmosphere and such an electrical charge that telephone poles were actually catching on fire, and telegraph equipment was operating without anybody there. It was operating on its own because of highly charged electronic pulses that were coming through the wires from this coronal mass ejection. That's why we monitor that, because that's just one of the potential um, things that could impact our society. And I don't do this stuff. I don't do this stuff because to be doom and gloom. Okay, that's hold on. That's not the that's not the intent. It's not for doom and gloom. Although I understand why people can view it that way, I look at it as hope. Um, because if we know, even if we've got 30 minutes time to uh, to prepare, and we know something's coming, that's 30 minutes more than most people are going to have. So I look at it as I hope that I'm able to get through whatever may come. I hope that you are able to get through whatever may come. That's hope. Um, to put our head in the sand and pretend like nothing could ever happen, that's not really logical or rational. It's the easiest thing to do, and at times it's the best thing to do, especially if you've got a little bit of emotional challenge going on. It's best not to always think about what could happen. At the same time, to never think about what could happen is incredibly dangerous. Um, I just wanted to show you that the last Wednesday, but Chris is going to come on here in about 13 minutes. And last Wednesday, he was on, and we discussed what may happen or what should possibly happen in Haiti that would be the absolute best for those Haitian people. Um, Haitians are facing instability, escalating gang violence, and we talked about it last Wednesday. Then Saturday, CNN ran a story on it. So, um, hang on. Yeah. So the gangs are controlling their territories. And as we talked about last week, the non government organizations um, don't know how to deal with it. We've had some breaking news. We'll talk about that when Chris comes on here in a few minutes. We've had some news come out earlier today, and I got another thing that came out earlier today. This seems like it's happening more often than not. Donald Trump was indicted again today in New York, and it has to do with Stormy Daniels. Manhattan grand jury voted to indict Donald Trump on felony charges. The indictment is sealed so far, But again, oh, all right. A couple other things to touch on real quick here. Scientists confirm that one of the Mexican aliens is, quote, alive, end quote, after controversial research. I don't know about that. Again, I said, I, it looked like an 8-year-old did it with Play-Doh and just let it dry out. But scientists now, and this came in 16 hours ago, confirming that one of the Mexican aliens is, quote, alive. Um, so stay tuned, upcoming episodes, as we will find out um, what exactly that means. And a lot's been going on in the United Nations, and this came in a day ago from the AP. Again, this is Associated Press, not Anarchy Princess. Colombian leader summons intense oratory for a bleak warning that humanity is making itself extinct. Here's what Colombian president said, just a paragraph. It has been a year in which humanity lost and without hesitation has advanced the times of extinction. It would seem as though the global leadership has made enemies with life. Um, Again, just giving you a little something to think about. And with that, I think I have, yes. I've got one more thing I want to touch on here real quick that I don't have. Don't have a slide for. Um, Actually, a couple of things, but I do have a slide for one of them. Then I'll get back to that in just a second. But I've gotten word from sources that there is a real potential for conflict to escalate between Afghanistan and Iran. And of course, Chris knows a lot about Afghanistan. So this, I just got this. Actually, I talked with Chris earlier today, and I got this after I had talked with him. So we'll be bringing that up coming up when he comes on. Uh, okay, you still got no sound? I'm hoping we've got sound because I've got. I'm back over into the chat. Okay. Um, oh yes, I do. I've got one final thing. All good, thank you. I got one final thing before we switch over to the situation report for the rest of the world. And let me find it. There we go. I've been meaning to mention this for a couple of weeks and haven't mentioned it. Um, Here we go. FEMA and the Federal Communications Commission plan a nationwide emergency alert test, and that's coming up October the 4th, 2023. Um, FEMA, in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission, will conduct a nationwide test of the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts. The test will consist of two portions: testing WEA and EAS capabilities. Um, Both tests scheduled to begin at approximately 2:20 p.m. and that's Eastern time. So that'd be 1:20 Central. That'd be 12:20 in the mountains and 11:20 on the West Coast. That's coming up Wednesday, October the 4th, so a couple of weeks away. The WEA portion of the test will be directed to all consumer cell phones. This will be the third nationwide test, but the second test to all cellular devices. Tests will display in either English or in Spanish. Now, as I said, they've done this before, and seemed like it was a pretty foobar cluster uh, the last time they tried this, and we are indeed on a we're on a perilous precipice of possible nuclear confrontation, and this is how we would be told um, by an emergency alert message from the federal government. So it's kind of important that these um, these systems operate correctly, so that if and when if or when something were to happen, that we would have as much notice as possible and as many people notified as possible. So um, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and pop over to this and oh, come on, get in. All right. Um, here's we're going to get in the world map and use the world map a little bit tonight. Actually, a little geography so that people can see where the land masses are that we're talking about. We're going to be talking about Haiti, of course, and this is one half of the island. The other half is the Dominican Republic. Haiti's neighbor to the west is Jamaica. Well, I don't want to zoom in on that. Jamaica and Cuba to the northwest, and then Puerto Rico directly east of Haiti, capital city Port-au-Prince. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. Let me zoom out here. We're all going to be also be talking about Brazil. As you saw in the open, if you caught the open, um, BRICS, BRICS, is Brazil, Russia, India. The C is China, and the S is South Africa. We're going to touch on all of those coming up when Chris joins in here in just a few minutes. And we move across the Atlantic to the African continent as we'll be talking about Mali, Burkina Faso, about Niger, and Central African Republic. There was word a coup was happening, and then word that a coup was not happening, or it had not happened. Hold on a second. I hear my cell phone ringing in the other room, and I imagine it is Chris calling me because I haven't put the link up. But there's the link if that is indeed what's going on, because it's that's probably what happened. Um, so hopefully Chris pops up here in a couple of minutes, and let me get back over here. Uh, the Democratic Republican of Congo. Um, and then, as I said, South Africa, part of BRICS, and South Africa is down here at the bottom. So let me pop back over here. Sounds like Chris just joined. He did. And we'll get him up here. Here we go. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Barry, how are you?
I'm all right, man. You all right?
Good to go.
All right. I'm going to start. Do you want to start with Haiti?
That's fine. We can start with Haiti. Not a problem.
All right. Let me hang on just a second here. Let me do this and switch to this, and hopefully it didn't come up. Hang on. Let's see. Will it come up? Okay. Okay. Um, this comes from the Irish Times. The Haitian gangs call for armed overthrow of the government as chaos escalates. And we touched on this. This came out today, Wednesday, September 20th, 2020. 23. Um, Haitian's most powerful gang leader called for the armed overthrow of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, urging Haitians. Oh, hang on. Urging Haitians to take the streets against the unelected government in the latest escalation of a country undergoing humanitarian crisis. Jimmy Barbecue Sherazade, a former police officer who now heads a powerful coalition of gangs that control large parts of Port-au-Prince, led the group of armed men on a march through the capital on Tuesday, blocking roads and banging drums. We are launching the fight to overturn Ariel Henry's government in any way, Sherazade said. So that's not a real big, huge surprise from what we've been talking about the past few weeks.
No, it's. I think it's basic logic. It was going to come sooner or later. Obviously, it's going to come sooner, right?
Yeah,
Um, I kind of thought that those international forces would be there prior to even something like that even occurring, right? Because I said before, it's really not about the stability. It's about the instability and keeping the Haitian president in office, right? And I
the
think last
unelected Haitian president that is
right,
a puppet.
right. It's more or less to keep him in office because as his instability increases, there's not going to be elections because of the instability. There's no peace, so you can't have the elections. We touched upon that last week. So
Right.
the my main thing. I mean, like I said, I knew this was going to happen sooner or later, but I kind of wanted to see the whole peace process, the whole democratic process play out first. You know, where we discussed um,
Yeah.
the peace amongst the gangs, right, and humanitarian assistance or humanitarian aid being distributed amongst the community to bolster those community leaders' legitimacy, right, and then also them
Hmm.
garnering support from the community and also from those power brokers to get behind Sherazade so he can eventually be president of the country. All right. That's
Yeah.
democracy. That's democracy at work. Okay.
We're going to
And
see a coup.
right. Eventually. Right.
Yeah.
So that's I kind of wanted to see that and see how that played out first. Because even if there is a coup and they do decide to overthrow the government, he's only going to be well. He can stay there, But the thing about it is, the people that don't want him there are going to try a coup against him to get him removed and put
Right.
back whoever they want.
Once he removes the legitimate or the illegitimate, not illegitimate, but unelected president. Once they remove the unelected president, there will be a coup to try to remove the person that removed the unelected president
Right,
and
right.
replace
So
him.
exactly. So and where have we seen this? Okay, we've seen this in Mali, Burkina Faso, right? So
Yep.
it's kind of like the same. We've seen this movie before. It's just now what in a totally different country. That's all it is.
And it's a lot closer to us.
Exactly, exactly. So the thing that the United States really has to be concerned about with this is he was basically saying that he does not want the United States presence in Haiti. Okay,
At all.
so, right. So what he's really trying to um, bring in is Russia. Okay, so like, and I've been following this for some time, and
Yeah.
I think that's the last thing that um, United States would want is Russia coming in there and
Right.
back, because um, they'll let them stay in there for a little bit, let them get comfortable. They're going to cut all financial backing to Haiti. You see, the same way in the Haitian Revolution. You see what France did, and you see
Hmm.
all the rest of those European countries came against Haiti, and just pretty much blocked them from anything and everything.
Right.
Okay,
Decimated the country.
right, right. So it's gonna kind of be like the same thing, but if Russia were to back them, then it kind of changes the dynamics of things. You see, um,
Yeah. And,
so
um, Kenya, just to kind of bring this full circle, Kenya today in the UN offered to lead a military group to restore peace,
yeah,
a
yeah,
UN military group,
yeah,
which we've
yeah,
talked about again several weeks ago.
yeah. That's
We,
going to be a complete disaster. That's going to be a failure, 110%.
right,
And
just
I've kind of
repeating what has already failed.
right. So like, why would you do it again? But once again, it goes back to the instability. If I keep these people fighting against each other, the police, the gangs, and now this uh, uh, supposed Kenyan police contingent that's going to come in, then it's just mad chaos. It's just complete chaos, and there will never be stability. Okay, and because there's never be stability, you can never have elections, and you'll never have free and fair elections. So, like I said, the current president will stay exactly where he is, and furthermore, it's the money aspect, the economics of it that is the big thing is the money that comes in from an international crisis.
Yeah, because it does. It comes in. It just doesn't get it doesn't get dispersed the way that we as the public are told it's going to be dispersed, but it does
Right.
come in.
It comes in and just it's just like a big pot, you know, of money just sits there and everyone just grabs in, grabs it and puts it in their pockets and goes. But here's the thing, and I kind of talked about this. Um, I have an article specifically on this in Small Wars Journal, and I talk about okay, so the Haitian contingent comes in. Well, or not the Haitian contingent, but the Kenyan contingent comes in, and they try to eliminate Jimmy Barbecue Shares because that's you see that's where this is going.
Right.
Um, and I talk about the second, third, fourth order effects of things. How Haiti really didn't consider this. It's like you're fighting the devil. It's better to fight the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. And I think I talked about this going back to Nigeria and Boko Haram. The leader of Boko Haram was um, was actually killed through extrajudicial killing. They arrested him and they were supposed to put him on trial, but they transferred him. I think like from the military to the police, and while they transfer him, they just flat out killed the guy because they thought that was gonna eliminate the problem. But what came behind him was Shakal, who was a who was a straight lunatic, you see, and
Yeah.
caused all this problem through the northeast of Nigeria, and they cannot stop it. You see, so I say that um, to the Haitian government, hey, be careful of what you want to do here because this could seriously backfire right in your face. And that's why we try to come with the non-kinetic solutions as opposed to the kinetic solutions because of lessons learned before in the past. See what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Excuse me.
I
So
do.
and that so and it's just like you throw a rock into the pond. There's a ripple effect.
Right.
Okay. So like I said, you don't know what's coming behind them. So it's better that you deal with this guy now. But furthermore, if you fail at taking him out, you don't know what's coming behind. It could be 10 times worse. But
Right.
either way, um, if they don't succeed, he's gonna do what he's gonna do, and that's most likely he's gonna overthrow the government. And what he can really do is, if he's truly serious, is really make Haiti a better country, because eventually those, even though they may not like it that he's in power, they're gonna have to deal with him.
Right. And
They
to me, the country that realizes that first and starts building a relationship with Jimmy Barbecue Cherzay is going to be the country that comes out ahead.
Exactly. See, because if he's serious and does what's right by the people, because that's what he's really fighting for. He's saying, he's a champion for the people.
Mm-hmm.
He will start building, like you have Doctors with Borders or Doctors Without Borders down there in Haiti, and you have all these NGOs,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these NGOs aren't in the communities. If you start placing those NGOs and those healthcare centers or whatever in all those communities, and you start providing services for the people, okay, which the Haitian government hasn't been doing in the past, it really gives credence to him, and it makes it harder for other like criminal groups or and maybe an insurgent group to even come in, because now he's doing everything for the people, okay, and the people aren't willing to go against him. It's just the same thing that we talked about with El Chapo, right?
Mm-hmm.
How he was doing everything for the community, right? Even though he was a bad guy, he was doing everything for the community, and that's why the community didn't turn against him. It's the same thing. I've just flipped it now, okay, to where the government should be doing everything for the community, and the community will support them. While Chapo was the bad guy, and he was doing everything for the community, and the community supported him. I've just flipped it. That's the only thing I've done.
Where did we mess up in Afghanistan that the Taliban was able to come back into power?
All
And
right.
was it because we didn't provide the services, or our the propped up government we tried to establish was so ineffective, or what happened?
Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's because of the corruption within the government of Afghanistan. Okay,
Yeah.
and because I used to train the security forces, I can talk specifically about this because I'm an advisor. For example, um, on operation, they wouldn't be given the things that they needed to go out and be successful in the operation. Sometimes they weren't given vehicles, they weren't given ammo, okay, or fuel to go out and complete the operations. A lot of times, then these guys never even got paid. So if you're not paying your people, if you're not giving them what they need to succeed against an insurgent group, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
It's not going to work
Well,
due to
no,
the corruption.
obviously.
Yeah. So it wasn't a surprise to me that Afghanistan fell the way that it did because because the government didn't provide for the security forces what they needed. So a lot of times, okay, in Afghanistan, we ran two types of operations. It's either U.S. led or Afghan led. On U.S. led operations, what we used to do because we needed them to come along with us, we would give them everything that was needed. So we would give them ammo, like food, fuel, all everything that they needed to, complete the mission with us. But when it came to Afghan led operations, their what we call provincial headquarters gave them the hardest time on getting anything and everything that they needed. So it made it really difficult for them to go out and complete operations. And when that occurs, like the vehicles didn't have vehicles, or like I said, they didn't get paid, and then they never gave them ammo to go out in operations. So when the Taliban came and like overran everybody,
You're not going to give your life for that.
right? So
Hold on a
that's
second. We had a connection problem there. I think we're back. Okay.
yeah. So that's
Are you still there?
yeah. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think that was
All right. So that's what happened in Afghanistan.
uh-huh.
All right. I don't know if you heard or not, but I got some intel late this afternoon that there's a distinct possibility Afghanistan and Iran would share a fairly long border, um, they're having conflict, and it could potentially escalate into military conflict. And it's over primarily two things: water and poppies.
All right. So, all right. This is because my understanding is that the Afghan government got away from the poppy. Yeah,
Yeah,
by
the
selling the poppy.
Taliban's trying to eradicate the poppy.
Right.
Uh, yeah,
Right. That's what.
which should be a good thing. But
Right. But
because
it,
opioids are made out of it and people profit off of the opioids, it's not a good thing.
right. So it's the economics, and see, here's the thing, right? Even back then, they were selling that because it was revenue, and they were able to pay. Um, here's the thing: when it comes to this stuff, people think, oh, because they're Islamic insurgents or whatever, they're just out there doing it to do it. No, these people get paid. Okay, so it's like a business.
Hmm.
Excuse me, and in that business, you have to be able to sustain uh, a long-term campaign. So you have to be able to generate a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of revenue for that. So they were selling poppy. They had they were doing extortions, taxes, excuse me, for people. Then you had all the mining there in Afghanistan. Uh, other stuff. You had other countries assisting them. All right, I think they had maybe 7 or 8 different streams of income, kind of revenue coming in. So they are actually generating almost $1.2 billion a year. All right, to go out and sustain that campaign, those operations. So that's $1.2 billion. You had all those fighters, and everything had to be done logistically, and they were doing it. As you see, they beat us.
Yeah,
So I mean, they obviously know what they're doing.
yeah. Okay, so what the water is the other issue. Um, and I guess along the Iranian uh, Afghani border, there's like a marshland where the water normally um, comes like a reservoir, but
Hmm.
because of drought conditions, Iran is not getting the water that flows from Afghanistan into Iraq. Um, and Afghanistan is, because of some dam activities, have they're basically uh, kind of keeping the water from Iran during a drought situation, and Iran is threatening to retaliate militarily.
Right. Well, once again, this can be resolved just by simple conflict dispute resolution. Okay, not everything has to be dissolved. Not everything has to be resolved militarily. Right? Everyone's wants to, you know,
Yeah,
if you talk out the problems, you can negotiate many things. We'll give you this, all right, and since we're giving you this, we want this back instead. You know, but not everything has to go kinetic or militarily because it just doesn't need to be. All right. As you can see, that's the diplomatic part of me. But then um, the whole thing about it, the way that I see it, um, is when you're dealing with um, two Muslim groups, okay, Iran and and Afghanistan. I think uh, Afghans are Sunni,
I think they
and
are.
and the Iranians. I know they're Shia.
Yeah,
So, but even still, that to me, that really doesn't mean a whole lot. It really comes down to, hey, look, you know what? All right, yeah, we know you need the water. I'm not going to be a jerk and starve you
yeah.
because I might need you later on in case something
That's
happens.
what logically you would think would happen.
Right, right. And you may need us for something. So why don't we just, hey, let's just get along and we'll help you out and you can help us out. Right?
Yeah. Um, okay. Let's jump to uh, the The Niger junta still defiant against France is what I've got popped up on the screen. The coup belt defiant against Macron. Um, have we heard anything? Has anything changed
No,
with
not you know
that?
nothing's really changed at all with that. And oh, I think the EU was basically telling France to go ahead and they need to strike Niger. And once again, you still have to be concerned about the second, third, fourth order effects of things. Yes, Niger is a very small country. It's a very poor country. Of course, they're kind of doing that just because, you know, it's small and poor. But
And they can.
yeah, and they can. And then the other reason is, they're trying to get the gold and the uranium out. So
Right.
Niger needs to be, really watch their gold and uranium, deposits. But furthermore, it's still a Muslim country, right? And
Hmm.
I think I touched upon this on one of your previous episodes where I talked about. Yeah, I think you even made the statement, or you even said something to the fact of the Islamic extremists are trying to make a foothold with inside France,
Right.
right?
Right.
So keep in
That's what
mind, right now, keep in mind that they are watching what's going on the continent of Africa because this is all the Sahel, right? This is where a lot of these militant groups are. Now, there's a Muslim and Arabic saying that me and my brother will fight my cousin, but me and my cousin will fight the stranger. Okay. So
Yeah.
France being the stranger coming in, you have to be concerned, even though these are other factions of militant groups or whatever, you have to be concerned about them turning on France because now you're hurting Muslims and those groups and those extremist groups in France are watching this be like, hey, you're really wrecking these people. These are poor brown and black people who are Muslim, and you're doing them any kind of way just because you can. Now what if those guys turned around and brought the fight to France asymmetrically,
And I can see that happening.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they bring the fight to France, because France is okay. We'll bring the fight to Niger. Well, these extremist groups could be like, you know what? We'll bring the fight to you right here at your doorstep, right?
Yeah. That's what I expect to happen if France keeps trying to pressure. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a lot of the African countries are really trying to push France out of Africa.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Now, I think there's 16 francophone countries on the continent of Africa. I think that's what it is. Maybe it's 16 or 13, one of the two. But anyway, uh, it seems like that. I think maybe how many? Maybe six so far, seven so far have had
Uh,
coups.
we've got Mali, Burkina Faso,
Hmm.
uh, Gabon,
Right.
uh, um, Guinea,
Hmm.
and isn't there one more?
Yeah. So we got Guinea, Burkina Faso,
Niger.
Niger, right, and then the last one the other day, which I don't know if it's true or not. The one that I was telling you about, I think it was
Yeah.
the Congo, right?
Right. Right.
So those are all francophone countries, and I really think that France's time is really limited on the continent of Africa. So they're going to be. Don't think for 1 minute France is going to sit there and take that. They're going to fight for everything that they can, because as I said, um, France needs Africa more than Africa needs France.
More than Africa needs France. All right. Um, I just popped up on the screen. In Wagner's latest or largest African outpost, Russia looks to tighten its grip.
All right.
This came in on the 18th. Um, Prigozhin is. There's rumors that he is alive and living on an island off of Argentina. That one of his body doubles was the one that was actually killed.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah. Um, but Wagner's going on
Uh,
without Prigozhin, and Russia's looks to tighten its grip, which is basically what we've been saying.
right. Well, once again, I don't know. I think, no matter of fact, I did speak about when Wagner was in Mozambique, right?
Yeah,
And they were fighting a group called Al Shabaab, but not the Al Shabaab that's in Somalia. This is just another group in Mozambique called Al Shabaab, another should we say insurgent group, and they pretty much kicked the living daylights uh, out of Wagner. But Wagner was there primarily, for the security of Total's. I think it was Total's. Their oil, right? So I think they have an oil or a big, gas pipeline that they're working on in Mozambique, and they want, Wagner was there, and bottom line, what the insurgents, that militant group, pretty much kicked Wagner Group's butt, and Wagner Group left Mozambique, but then they end up going to Mali, and like I said, I don't think they're faring too well there. And once again, these militant groups, they are they deal specifically in unconventional warfare, regular warfare, right? And the Wagner Group deals primarily in conventional warfare.
hmm
I think I discussed this before, that when you're dealing with unconventional warfare, the tactics that they use, of course, they're not going to be conventional, but the Wagner Group isn't spun up to where they're as good as they need to be, and that's why these Islamic groups are going to totally just crush Wagner Group when in
when the
Mali,
time comes.
right? And even Niger, they're just gonna wipe them out because they're not that good when it comes to like the unconventional irregular warfare theater.
Okay, we're going to move a little bit closer to home here. I'm trying to buzz through some things. Chinese military delegation to pay a 5-day visit to Mexico. Um, Comes at the invitation of the Mexican Defense Ministry to attend the celebration of the 213th anniversary of Mexico's independence. And this comes also from China and Cuba are in advanced negotiations for the construction of a joint military training facility and infrastructure that would facilitate the presence of Chinese troops in Cuba on a permanent basis.
That's all bad. That's all bad.
None of that's good.
That's all bad. You
None of
see,
that.
you see how China and Russia are getting closer to home,
Yeah, absolutely.
and what is the United States doing about it? You
It
see,
doesn't appear. I mean, from what I can't find anything we're doing about it.
right? So, and I told you before that we need to make friends. We really do. But China, Russia, and Iran, right, have come have I told you they're chess players, especially Russia and China. They're chess players. And we play checkers.
Yeah,
And because of that, they're checkmating us everywhere we go. You know, like Venezuela, we can't get oil from Venezuela. And that's really big. The Saudis are like, well, we'll see what we can do, about the oil prices and this and that, and they control that.
right.
You see, so it's kind of like, and I think
Because
Saudi,
they control the oil prices because they control OPEC, and
exactly,
OPEC basically controls the world oil prices.
exactly. But furthermore, they're joining BRICS as well.
Yeah,
Joining BRICS is
yeah,
like they're really trying to crush the U.S. dollar. They're trying to collapse it. That's what they're trying to do. All right.
They
That,
can too.
yeah,
If they get their crap together, they can do it.
yeah, and that's really what's kind of like scary about this whole thing. You know, they're really trying to collapse the U.S. dollar, and we're really trying to put us out of business. What they're trying to
Let
do. I
me see.
remember we talked about economics controls all. Well, here's a
Yeah.
prime example.
Um. All right. Let me hop over here to one other. Let me pop something else up here on the screen real quick while we got a few minutes. The USS Florida, one of our 14 Ohio class nuclear submarines, arrives in Tromsø in Finland. Um, we've just uh, we've just landed a B-1 bomber in Finland, or I'm sorry, in Norway. Both events took place in Norway. My bad, I said Finland. This is the first time it's ever happened that we've dispatched one of our nuclear subs to Norway. And can you talk about? You were talking about trying to play checkers against people who are playing chess. Is
Hmm.
this one of those kind of moves that in the past this would have been a show of force, but now in present times it's like a show of how silly we are.
Or do you think it's more or less like saber rattling?
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I think
um,
it is, and I think it's in a time when we shouldn't be saber rattling.
right? Because
We ought to be doing serious things.
right. So that like you said is just saber rattling. I really don't think we're going to do anything. I think we have too much on our plate right now. You know, to like we can't afford
Yeah,
to keep doing. You know, we can't afford to keep bluffing because eventually someone's going to
right,
call our bluff.
right.
And when that occurs, it's like, oh, what do we do now? So that's just the way I
Yeah.
see it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at the 1 hour mark. Um, Next Wednesday is the Republican debate for the presidential nomination.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be covering that live next Wednesday. Could you be available next Thursday?
Certainly. Thursday I'll be available.
All right. We'll do this on Thursday next week then.
Will do.
All right. Anything before we go?
Now that'll be it.
All right, man.
Hey,
Thank you so much as always.
yeah, well, thank you for having me on your show again, Barry. Greatly appreciated.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Hey, take care. Have a good night.
You too. That's Chris, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. I know we had a couple of technical difficulties. We lost connection with a couple of the platforms. It appeared there for a few minutes, but we got it back. And again, thanks for hanging out here till the end. And uh, we will be back. I'm not sure when I'll be back on. We got a concert coming up this weekend. I'm not sure if it's Friday or Saturday, but we will be back on, of course. And so hit the subscribe, hit the notification so you know when we're back on. And thank you for joining as always, and we'll see you next time. Blessings for those that wish them. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Live long and prosper. Love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. Hey, it's a dark world. Try to be a light. Love you. Thanks for being.